Now that the show has not happened, and we say we've been dealing with X, Y, and Z this whole process, people actually believe that, and we are now able to hold our college accountable for those things, and they seem very willing to work with us to actually make change here, which I'm really thrilled about. I'm not thrilled about like doing DEI work for free for the college, but it's the right thing to do. And we have the skill set to do it as a team. It sucks that this change has, these conversations and these calls for change have been ignored up until now. In my literal last week ever of being on this campus. But they happened, finally. And maybe I'm just a wishful thinker, but I feel like this one worked. I feel like this one's gonna stick. And yeah.
A year later, the question is no longer what'll happen to our show, but what happens to the momentum of a site-specific activist project after most of the team leaves? To keep it simple, it dies. After the cancellation, we all kept in touch, even when the administration itself didn't. Our primary focus was getting ourselves caught up with everything we missed over the semester, getting adjusted to new lives post-graduation for the two of us, and then getting the documentary completed and released. Once that chaos was done, and we realized maybe this was all more traumatizing than we thought, we all took a little bit of a break from Curious. I moved to New York, Ace stayed at school, Lee went to France, and Evan went to Boston. But in February, when we hit the anniversary of Ace becoming co-director and Evan and Lee joining the project, we realized that actually we weren't quite done, and we still had more story to tell and a job to do, so after taking our time to heal, it was time to get back to work. And that's where this story begins.
Maybe we'll keep making these every single year until what happens actually ends up happening. But yeah, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the 1-year anniversary of the show closing. So currently filming on February 27th around 10:30 a.m., which is 10 months after the closure of our show. We tied up the documentary in a nice little bow about all of the promises that were made, or discussions that happened that were implied to be promises of change at the school. We were going to be working on stuff, things were going to be getting better for people, and we were really hopeful that what we had put together was going to turn into something. And as far as we know, absolutely none of that has been followed through. I could be wrong on that. There could have been a handful of things that did actually end up happening that we have no record of, that we don't know anything about, but as of right now, we have not seen follow through on the majority of the things that were discussed, which is very frustrating because, we felt like, we trusted them in, how terribly everything went, and they said, okay, but we're going to turn this into something positive, and we were like, okay, this makes it better. And the fact that that has not happened just kind of implies that maybe there was more of a desire to shut us up rather than actually make active change, which is annoying. Now, the reason that I'm coming to you on this Tuesday, February 27th, is that the other thing that we have not received is the final investigation report. Now, according to Mount Holyoke College's bylaws, we were required, if not required, heavily expected, we were going to get an incident report of what took place in that investigation within approximately 2 to 3 weeks of the investigation closing, which was on May 3rd, 2023. And we have not received that. And if anything, out of all of the change that we wanted to make at the school, that aside, the fact that we had a high-profile investigation and case that then closed down a show and have not received any information as to precisely what happened according to the college's bylaws implies to us that there is some sort of secrecy going on, that they're not willing to tell us things. And if it can happen to us, right, as a case where lots of people are watching this and they know that, what does this mean for the regular student body? And that is very concerning to us. So we, have taken some time to write an email. And by time, I do mean that we kept trying to start it, and then the trauma would kick in, and then we would pause and take a break on it and then come back to it. And we finally gotten around to finishing it. And so after I finish filming this, I'm going to be sending an email to members of the team that were involved in the investigation to kindly, not so kindly say, hey, what's going on? We were expecting this and this did not happen. We would like updates. We request updates. So we're gonna send that. We're gonna see what happens. And hopefully this turns into something and we'll actually have more of a documentary epilogue to give you here rather than just like 5 minutes of me talking about sending an email. But yes, that is the update as of right now. And again, I want to be super clear that the fact that we have not made forward progress is not specific to our college, is not specific to society. Like, don't see this and go, oh, it's not worth making change, it's not possible, they're still harassing their, like, this is how institutions work. And this is what activism looks like, this constant poking people and saying things and following up and all of this stuff. That is what activism looks like. And so this was actually more or less expected. It's unfortunate, obviously, because this was not a good time and not a fun thing to be consistently reliving. But this is what activism unfortunately looks like. And so we are continuing on our quest, on our slog. And yeah, we'll keep you updated. I'm so regretting getting back to a point where I flinch every time I open up my email because I was so done with that. But it's okay. This is what needs to be done. So anyway, I'm gonna send this right now and get back to you later. I really wanted to make this artsy, but that's not happening. Hi, it is a week and a half after we sent the last email. We have not heard back, so we're emailing them again. Just as like a, hey, you haven't heard anything. Just wanted to follow up, this is important. I'm starting to worry that they're just gonna like ghost us into eternity and I can't go waltz into their offices and yell at them because I'm not there anymore. So that's unfortunate. But, you know, we move. We keep on pushing. What a great use of my time. That's what I keep thinking about. How I have fully graduated and I'm still harassing my college for the thing that they should have, based on the bylaws, given to us months ago. Hi, I just got back from the store. I sent the email and then I went to get groceries because food is important and that's part of being an adult. And I came back and we have an email response. They responded and they want to meet with us. And so we're gonna try to figure out what the heck our schedules look like because Lee's in France and Evan has a full-time job. So that's gonna be hard to schedule, but we're gonna figure it out because, oh my gosh, we're gonna have a meeting. I should have expected that this was gonna happen, but I was starting to think it wasn't. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I mean, I'm sad and I'm nervous, but we'll stick with the excitement. We'll roll with that. It's also really nice outside today. This doesn't matter for the scope of what this video is for, but it's so nice out and it's making me really happy. So good day. Good day, good day, good day. Ah, we're getting a meeting. The gang is back together again. We're all back together. Hi, Evan.
Hello.
Okay, so
We're back.
meeting.
This is gonna be fun.
So I made a document. The document is called It's March 2024. Why are we doing this again? It is in the Newsies folder. And it goes through the important dates, timeline of stuff.
I'm still like, is there even a goddamn report after all of this?
I also don't know.
That's my thing, yeah.
I feel like they just don't have one. Because, like, what their report is just gonna be, like, if they had an actual report, it would just at this point say, yeah, these people didn't do anything wrong.
As administration, they should have notes somewhere. So if anything, they do have things written down about what happened because that would just be bad academic procedure if they have nothing in writing at all whatsoever. Yeah. Did that become an official incident report at the end of it? That I don't know, but they have the information, and what they need to do is collate that and give it to us because we have every right to have that information. Technically, the word promise was never used, obviously, so we can't be like, this is what you promised. But we can be like, it was implied that these things were going to happen and they did not take place. It was implied like we trusted you to do these things, and we have not heard back. Like specifically with the stuff that I met with her about, like it wasn't, I promise I'm going to do this, but I'm going to try my best. I want to make this happen. I can't individually do this, but I will be reaching out to other departments to have them make that happen, and I will be updating you. And then I haven't gotten any updates other than that one phone call, but then nothing after that. And to be fair, it is kind of on me/us for not like hounding them after that. Like, I feel like I should have reached out more and whatever, but then at the same time, why am I parenting my college?
Yeah, like you just graduated. Like, you got enough stuff going on.
I have enough things going on. But I think generally, narratively, if we're like, this is all we want, this is our closure. At the moment, what was helpful for us to process it was that we were going to get a report because that's how colleges work. Reports should be made about things, and that there was going to be a change happening at the college as a result of what we did, and we have not seen proof of either of those things happening, which for us feels like this is not closure. And so I think pressure 1 is definitely the update. Pressure 2 is the investigation report, and then pressure 2 is, hey, what about everything else you promised? Which I feel a little, I don't know, bad about pressing for, because maybe she has been doing stuff and I just don't know about it. But still, you know. Do we have any questions? Do we have any things that we need to go over? Whatever.
I feel a little bit like in previous meetings I feel a little bit like an odd one out, in that I'm just kind of here. So Sydney, text me if there's anything that you need me to say or etc.
That was actually one of the things I was going to say. I think it would be a good idea if you have your WhatsApp on your computer that makes noise, turn off the noise on your computer. I think it would be a really good idea if we all have it open, because when we were in in-person meetings, we could all just like look at each other and be like, you're gonna talk next, or you, whatever. We could have that communication. Now we don't know who the fuck is looking at who. So I think having the group chat open to be like, hey, Lee, you want to take this? Or I'll say this, or whatever, or ask questions to clarify with each other is probably a good idea. The other thing is that in person, we could all walk in together. We obviously can't do that now. So I would vote that like the second the clock hits 9 o'clock, we all, or whatever the fuck time is for you, Lee, we all enter the Zoom in that moment, or like 8:59. Like, I think that we should all enter right around the same time, so we don't end up in a situation where it's like, hey, Sydney, how's it going? We're awkwardly waiting for other people and whatever.
Do we want to get there like 5 minutes early?
Sure.
Will they let that?
I mean, I don't know if they'll let us in, but we can all
like
hit it.
We all just want to get there like sitting and waiting like 3 minutes before or something, just so that we don't.
All right, how do we feel about 8:57? Every second it hits 8:57, that's when we enter the Zoom.
How do we want to distribute stuff? Because in like past meetings we've done like, okay, this person's leading, this person's leading. How do we distribute
I think I feel most confident with like the not legalese but legalese adjacent of what we need to be talking about. So I feel like, yeah, I can lead. Does my soul and heart want to say that? Absolutely not. I want to like cower in a little hole and let somebody else take charge, but I think it would make the most sense, particularly because I've been sending the emails and I know what's up, for me to be like in charge. The thing is that we don't know what the fuck this meeting is going to look like, right? Like, we don't know what the structure is, and that concerns me, because I know that the last meeting that we had, we like walked in and we were like, here's what our plan is for the meeting, this is how it's gonna go, and then we like basically controlled it, but then they ended it within 25 minutes, and then we were like, what the fuck just happened? And they also maybe lied to us. And so I don't know if we should just like let them do whatever they want to do and then flip the tables via countering everything that they say, or if we want to be in offensive and get ahead of things. But I don't know, and that's also up to you guys.
Yeah, I'm like, one of the things I'm wondering is like, do we want to start with the like, okay, here are all of our things, or do we want to go high?
But the thing is they also know what our things are because we sent them over email.
I think kind of what it sounded like goal is to get the investigation report quickly and like just try and make that like the shorter bit here and just get them to give us a report or admit they were bullshitting us this whole time. Either one, whatever it is, just get
I
some
think
honesty out.
both. I think even if they admit that they're bullshitting us and not following any policies, we still should have a report.
I feel like that one, we can try and make that more like short and sweet. Like, hey, here's the things, give us the thing, please, and then get to the accessibility stuff, because I feel like that's more our like end goal here is, hey, accessibility at this college.
I think our end goal is, hey, we're still watching. You guys haven't done any of the things that you promised to. And frankly, I know that things have probably changed that I don't know about because I'm not there. But we shouldn't. We expected at least updates, and we have not gotten those because, again, they put us through absolute trauma and like caused active physical bodily harm to most of us. And our closure from that was, hey, at least things are going to get better, and they're going to tell us how they got better. And we've just been sitting around waiting and not getting anything, and we're frustrated by that because that's not a good use of our time or energy. And we would all, I think, even the administration and the general college, like the faculty and staff, would also all like this to be over with and forgotten about. I think it's a collective thing that this was a disaster and we want it to be done now. And it's not done, and we're not done, and they're not done because they haven't done what they maybe not technically promised, but what they implied was going to happen. And we're going to hold them to that, because you can't just tell students what you want to make them shut up and go away. That's not effective, because we may go away for a semester, but we're back.
We're a little bit too stubborn for that, I think.
Yeah, everybody's doing great. I'm proud of you. I appreciate you. And also, oh my god, what was I gonna say? Oh, I had an existential crisis moment the other day where I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, doing all of this is very stressful for me, and I'm sure that it's also very stressful for you guys, and I feel like it's what we need to do, but I also feel like I'm still dragging you into shit, and I just wanted to like thank you. Like, I'm not gonna apologize because that feels wrong, but I do want to thank you for being there's no head, there's an ace, but I do want to thank you for continuing to jump in the sandbox with me, as it were, and continuing this disaster of a disaster. What? It makes hearts when you're
Why is mine not
do
doing
that, Evan? This
Oh,
is
mine to do
weird.
it.
Look at it. Oh my god.
Why is mine not doing it?
Wow.
Guys.
I like how this went from like a heartfelt thing to like, oh my gosh, Zoom makes hearts in your hands when you ADHD brains. Okay, great, awesome. 8:57. Log into the Zoom. We all good with that? What the fuck is happening?
I've seen the fireworks one. I haven't seen the others.
How do we turn this off? What if it happens during the meeting?
Congratulations.
All right, bye, weirdo.
Why am I not getting any of them? I'm so sad.
Bye. Love you.
What the actual fuck? They're actually doing things. Oh my god.
I'm gonna
I'm in a little-
cry. What?
I'm in a little trial.
They're doing all of it. They're doing everything.
They're actually doing shit.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So we could have prevented that whole meeting had they just communicated with us.
Yeah.
To begin with. We were
But,
so like you need to meet
I'm
with us.
so
We
glad
need
we
to
had
check
that.
in on you.
I am very happy with the meeting though. What the fuck?
I would rather have the meeting than an email personally.
That's
I
true,
don't-
because this didn't feel like, if this had been written down, I think it would have felt a little bit like corporate BS, but the way that they expressed it made it very clear that they care about this stuff and this is what they're doing and they want to do it.
I feel like our surprise was not on our faces. Like, I think we were able to disguise that, but I
wasn't.
I wasn't.
I didn't
think
say
you were more
anything.
subtle than you thought you were.
AC
I
was like very like Dean quality neutral, okay?
Oh,
Lee
yeah.
was like suppressing a smile, and Evan and I were both just like,
The policy one, I almost burst out
the
laughing.
policy on policies, I almost lost it.
I
Yeah.
had no emotion.
Fucking lost it at that one. That one took a lot to not break.
Guys, this is fucking crazy. Like, they have so much shit that they have to do, and there's so much shit on all of these people's plates all the time. Like, 24/7, and she got so much done. Like
This is like
crazy.
it's like a page and a half of like very quick bulleted notes that I took.
I will say, and she also said she's going to email this to us, so we're gonna have access to what she was reading.
Yeah, we're gonna have that. And like they were gonna. I did love that they just straight up admitted to. I very much appreciated that they admitted to not having a fucking report. That
They admitted to not having a report and to not following any policies and guidelines. They were just like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it was
You know,
crazy how this worked out.
I do feel like this is the result of us. This is our fault. In a good way. This is like, all of the change in work was done by other people, but we can pride ourselves on having been kind of the root of a lot of it. And I'm just really damn proud of us, is what I'm trying to say, is that we actually did. I was expecting going into this being like, yeah, so we failed and we're gonna have to keep fighting them for the rest of eternity and we're not gonna get any closure. And
They were just like, here.
and we're not there anymore, so we can't actually get things done, and the movement kind of died. But no, it didn't. They actually did shit.
Guys, we turned this really awful, shitty situation that kind of, put 2 of us in the hospital. And we turned it around.
turned around. This was. I remember talking about this like during the as we were, as Curious was like getting shut down, as all of those processes were happening. One of the things that was getting us through that and keeping us all from keeping us all alive, at least, was the idea that we could turn this into something that might actually create accessible change in the long run. And it fucking did.
It actually did. And I want to cry. We did that.
We did that. Shit.
Oh my god, guys. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Normally our debriefs are just us ranting about things and planning what's going to come next. What do we even do now?
What do we do?
What do we have to do with ourselves? Oh no.
Great job, everyone. Hit the shower. We did a great job out there.
As a human, I always try to go into situations with like expecting the best of intentions first. Like always good intentions. But I'm not gonna lie, I've gone into all of our admin meetings being like, I'm gonna try to pretend that I believe the best of intentions, but I really don't, because they have a terrible track record. And so I was just like ready to be angry, and I like came in ready to be angry, and then she started listing things, and then I was like, I want to both giggle and cry right now, and I need to control my facial expressions, and I'm sure they were a disaster. But
they started listing stuff, and I was just like, I was so prepared for us to be like fighting tooth and nail to get them to do like a single one of those things.
This wasn't supposed to be closure. This meeting wasn't supposed to go well. We weren't supposed to get what we wanted. We were supposed to be arguing for things. We were supposed to be fighting for things, and this went well. And I'm like,
this went well.
And not even like disingenuous well, like, oh, we just wanted to say these things to shut them up, but like genuinely, hi, we've been doing stuff and we want to tell you about it. Thanks for following up.
And like, thank you for starting this whole process in motion. Like, you guys are the reason this whole process got like started when it did, and made it so much quicker and easier, because you created a fucking doc of the problems.
And again, what was her comment at the end? The like, nothing you're asking for is unreasonable.
Nothing you guys asked is unreasonable, and we appreciate the time and care it took you guys to make them clear and lay them out for us. It made them able to work quickly and make this change.
Because there are things that they just can't see. We worked really hard, and we weren't sure if any of it was going to mean anything. And I think that was something that we all worried about a lot, was that we put all this effort and all this time and all this energy into all of our health into this thing at the end of the semester, when some of us were graduating and we all had finals, and it was awful. And we weren't sure if it was actually going to mean anything, and it did. And I think we ruled for that.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I love you guys.
Do the heart thing again.
Okay, I love you all. I love you all.
Have a good day. Bye. So is there anything else that anybody wants to know?
I'm not an inspirational speaker person. I don't have the word.
Like going into that expecting that this was going to be another whole long ass process, costing us more sleepless nights and more ER visits and et cetera and et cetera. And they actually have been doing the things. This is not helping me, Ace. I'm trying here. I'm trying.
No, you're
and
saying
they've
such wonderful
been,
wisdom, and Ace is like,
and
ah.
and they've been actually doing the things, and they've actually been putting in effort, and the genuine sincerity that when she looked me into my soul and went, we are like genuinely looking forward to working on accessibility at this college with you. She actually meant that. And I'm honestly so happy that, just so unbelievably happy that one, we don't have to go put ourselves through this again, and that they've actually been doing things, and that this whole shit show that got created it didn't have the initial outcome that we wanted it to. We didn't have the show, but that from this whole mess, something good is actually coming from it, and that accessibility at the college is actually getting improved because of this whole process that we started.
I expected to have to fight tooth and nail and that this wasn't going to be over. And I was like having a crisis the other night of like, what's the point of going through all this again? Because like reading through the autopsy and putting together all of our notes and writing the emails and whatever has just been like really stressful and re-traumatizing, and like,
I slept
made my tummy hurt. Like it's just been like, it's felt icky in my body and I haven't liked it. And I was, having a moment where I was like, I'm putting in all of this work for what progress? Like at what point we're not actually making any meaningful progress. Nothing is happening. It's just exhausting and we're getting our hopes up and they're getting dashed every single time. And like, what's the point of continuing to do this? And at what point do we stop trying to do it because it's better to spend our energy doing other activist stuff in other directions? But then would that look like we had given up? And like I was having that whole crisis as I was trying to fall asleep last night. And so realizing that actually no, we didn't need to babysit them as much as we thought that we were going to need to, and they did do that. And also like I feel like I've spent the last 6 months trying to come to terms with the fact that admin just straight up lied to us and all the things that we thought were positive and hopeful and great, and we were like, oh thank goodness, like they promised to make change, and then like we over the summer were like, oh so they lied and it's not gonna happen, and we like almost have we've been informed that that's probably what happened. And I was like, that was hard for me because I was like, oh great, so I can't trust anybody because they seem so sincere, but clearly they weren't sincere. And that was really hard for me as well. And now I'm like, no they were sincere.
And this whole process, even if did they 100% bullshit to our face and not fun, not be great with following up throughout the whole Curious Incident process and the kind of ending of that? Yeah, 100%. We can recognize that. A lot of things went wrong there. A lot of unnecessary mental stress and physical stress was caused through that whole process. But but the things that we wanted to happen and are, just going back to, I know there's probably a video somewhere of us just going, kind of taking that, we took that, okay, show's getting shut down, and holding, all of us so strongly holding on to the, okay, we're gonna do something with this still. We're not just gonna let this fucking die, and we're gonna make something positive happen with this, or we're gonna die trying, basically. And yeah, just so incredibly happy that they actually have been doing the things.
And that we didn't need to die trying.
We didn't need to die trying.
I was like, I'm gonna go down with this goddamn ship. Like, I'm gonna keep on going. But then I was like, but I do it. Is that being like illogical and like not a good use of my time at some point?
Fight for accessibility, hurt the disabled people in the process.
We love how activism is inaccessible fundamentally a lot of times, but we get over it because we have to deal with it anyway. Yeah, I'm not in shock, but I'm near that. I'm so surprised, happily surprised. I did not expect to be happily surprised.
No, I expected to be pissed. like I was saying last night, we were watching Heartstopper, and I was like, guys, probably gonna swear a lot tonight because I'm getting it out of my system so I can hold my tongue in this meeting tomorrow.
I was literally texting Ace yesterday about how I was like, okay, so here's all of my various plans for coping after the meeting happened.
I'm still also just like trying to believe it a little bit. A part of me is a little bit like still very skeptical and like not believing this, like the little part of me.
I think that it was genuine last time and it's genuine this time. It's just last time there were issues that came into play with the over the summer and the everything, and then just not updating us and not responding to any emails. But also, administrators get an average of 200 emails a day, so I don't entirely blame them for not following up, as hard and frustrating as it is.
Yeah, and like the giving people the benefit of the doubt and assuming the best in people wasn't screwing us over. Like it was actually true.
Yeah, it's almost like you can actually trust people.
It was.
No.
What a concept.
I'm sorry, the people who we like genuinely trusted and thought were being like genuine people doing the things that they said they were going to do have actually been doing the things they said they were going to do.
And it's almost like by us being genuine and honest with our lived experiences and not trying to craft a narrative or be fake about it was what broke through to them and made this possible, rather than just both sides yelling at each other.
I will say one thing I'm excited about. Like, I don't know how many people like in the Curious like group will like watch the video that gets posted, but I do want to like because I know some of them it was just like an acting thing, but for some of them they were really interested in like the whole like this is a neurodivergent space doing accessibility stuff and everything. And I hope that this kind of news makes them feel better. I hope that it makes them feel like they did accomplish something, because we've been continuing working on it, but they have not. Once it was canceled and once the documentary like was released, that was pretty much like it for them, whereas like it's still been kind of on our minds. It hasn't been that for them. So I do hope that they will watch it, or at least check it out, and it might bring like some relief and hope to the rest of the group.
It like the show getting canceled and it failing was such a big, not like it felt like such a big failure that it wasn't able to go on, and that it was canceled. And it was, that failure was on the college. That failure was not on us.
And it also, I will add, it felt like a failure when that happened, but then we were like, hey guys, don't worry about it. We didn't fail because we're going to make change, so it's going to be fine. And then we all knew behind the scenes the change wasn't happening, and we were like, no, we're a failure. We're actually a failure. We did fail. We failed. We're fucked. And now we didn't fail. We genuinely did it.
Things are actually happening. Positive change is being done. And I think, I'm really excited for everyone. I'm really hoping that everyone in the cast and crew, and that like people in the camp, like people on campus and all of that, watch this, especially the cast and crew, to see that, hey, okay, all of this work and all of this effort that you guys put in throughout this semester, and all of the work, all of the stuff you've been doing, all of the work and all of the mental stress that you all dealt with through this whole process. Yes, the show got canceled, and good things actually came from that. The whole goal of this was to show like that accessibility is possible, and what we did prove was that it really is not within inaccessible institutions.
It's not possible within inaccessible institutions and institutionalized ableism, but also not possible when the people who control those places are not paying attention directly to those experiences, not educated on those things. Like, I think it is semi-possible within an academic situation, but it required the awareness of other people and the desire to put themselves out on a limb to support us. And I don't think that we got that, and that's more of why it didn't work, as opposed to like, all academia is a problem. It's a combination of academia is a problem and everybody is siloed into the one thing they know about and not willing to expand themselves further beyond that.
No, the way she was talking about disability and neurodivergence, and the way she was talking about like actually understanding the accessibility issues on campus and talking about all of that, makes it clear that she actually, took to heart the things that we were saying and educated herself, as well as working on making improvements and like making improvements to the school, she also very clearly worked on educating herself. And was she perfect with all of her wording and all of that? No, obviously not. No one's gonna be. But
Yeah.
it's still clear that she actually took the time to educate herself, as well as working on the education, educating her fellow staff and professors and et cetera, and actually creating accessible change. And I'm just like, damn.
I love you all. Thank you so much for this. I'm so glad we never have to do this. I mean, I would like to meet with them again in like 3 to 6 months. We can discuss that when we get there, but
We did things.
Hey, so it's been about 3 weeks since the meeting that we had, and we just got a report. It's all information we already knew. It's all information you guys already know. It's nothing new and exciting. Not that we really expected that because of the legalities of them saying what actually happened and whatnot. We know how institutions work. But yeah, so we officially have the report. We also were given a document with a list of all of the accessibility changes that they are making at the college that are all gonna either be rolling out this fall or rolling out shortly or are in progress. There's a lot of stuff they're working on. We also obviously cannot share that with you, but I promise you that that's happening. And so this is it, basically. This is the last video about this that I will be making. This is the end of this project, which I'm happy about, because this has been an absolute freaking roller coaster of a whole lot of things we didn't want to happen. But it's also feels weird to let it go. I don't know. I'm, thinking like, oh, it's time to like take it out of my Instagram bio and really just kind of close this chapter, but I don't think I'm quite there yet. But the thoughts I want to give at the end of this, are how grateful I've been to be a part of this, which sounds silly because I know that I created it, but it got out of my hands so quickly. And I kind of meant for that to happen. But it never felt like my project. It always felt like it was something for everybody and something that we all needed. And then it ended the way that it did, and that was so hard. But I'm so proud of what we were able to accomplish within the constraints of what we were given, and then what we were able to accomplish after the fact, and how things are actually changing because of what we did. And I'm so honored to be like in the industry now and see that people actually were paying attention in the industry too that I didn't know about when we were doing it. And that is just so important to me and so wonderful. And obviously there are so many things that I would do differently next time around. Oh my gosh, I learned so much throughout the whole process of this, and a lot of it was a mess because of the circumstances, and some of it was a mess because I was a mess and I didn't know what I was doing. And I think that can be acknowledged, and that I didn't have the support system that I thought I was going to have to help me figure out what I was doing. Every activist dream, every creative dream is to make something that will outlive them, that will create some sort of legacy and make the world better for people like them. And I'm so honored to say that I think that we've done that. I think that we can officially say that, in an unorthodox way, and not the way that we wanted it to happen, but it did happen. And I'm just feeling so blessed to have been able to do this. And I'm grateful for every single piece of it, every single piece that sucked, and every single piece that was wonderful. I'm so grateful for just all of it. And I think most importantly, I want to give a specific shout out to the cast and the crew who was involved, because I know that we all came away from this with a lot of baggage. And I really hope that you get to see this little epilogue and see
that it was worth it. And we did do something pretty darn great, guys. So the main thing that I kind of want to get out of this section of the documentary is a specific thank you. Thank you for, you know, seeing a crazy idea and agreeing to try. Even those of you who didn't stick on the whole time, you tried. And you believed, at least at some point, you believed in me and in what we were doing. And I'm so grateful to you for having been a part of this. So I just want to extend my thanks for that. I think the rest of the team will as well.
Just want to add on with my thank you and say that I hope everyone is really proud of themselves for the work that they did in all of this. You all spent so much time, energy, and effort, and even though this isn't the outcome any of us were hoping for in any of this, I just hope that everyone is proud of themselves for what was still accomplished from all of this.
I just want to say thank you for all the time that we spent together. It might not have been wonderful at every moment, but I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. And I miss you guys a lot.
Whether it was for a few days, for a few months, whether it was cast, crew, or someone outside the project who's providing some sort of support, you all made an impact and it was all felt, and you all became like a family to me, and I'm always gonna remember it. The good and the bad, every single part of it, and every moment was able to happen because all of you were there.
So my final thoughts of all of this. I guess I want to end this with the story that we began with, which is Curious Incident. You know, it tells the story of a young autistic person who starts asking questions to try to make one thing that's wrong right, and then by doing that ends up pulling at the threads of a million other things until everything crashes down to the ground on fire, and then everybody hates him, and then they all realize it was the right thing to do and it needed to be done, and they start to put the pieces back together. And I think, you know, that's kind of what we did in real time. And, you know, the whole time it always felt a little ironic to me that we were telling a story that deliberately encouraged pushing boundaries in every way, and then we weren't allowed to push boundaries. But we did. We ended up doing that, and now those boundaries have been pushed and things are better. Things are going to be better, which, you know, we got there. We got there eventually. But I think to kind of wrap this up, Christopher Boone says it best.
Does that mean I can do anything, do you think? Does that mean I can do anything, Siobhan?